This report from our Middle East correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, and our team in Gaza contains distressing images of dead bodies.
Orthodox Jews is what I'm talking about. You said Orthodox what? Not Orthodox Christians. I'm sure there are Orthodox Christians as well. But
when the hospital morgues ran out of room, they turned to the car park. In protective suits and masks, with death all around them, the civil volunteers uncover this mass grave, pulling the bodies from the sandy earth one by one. Israeli forces have now withdrawn from Khan Yunis, but before they did, they too dug up these corpses. The IDF says they were looking for hostages, but Palestinians and the UN have accused them of desecrating the dead. Over the last 5 days, they've found more than 300 bodies, and they're digging for more. Each one is unwrapped. Inside are the decomposing bodies of men, women, and young children. If a body cannot be identified or isn't collected by family, they're rewrapped in clean sheets and buried again in unmarked graves. Moya Yed found his mother yesterday. It took him time to recognize what was left of her. He's back again today, still looking for his sister, father, and cousin.
Solve this issue with the world. Solve it with the Israelis. We want a solution. We want to rest. There's no life. It's all for nothing. I feel sad, lonely, alone in the world.
Every so often, someone finds what they had come looking for, but hadn't wanted to believe. After 2 months searching for him, the body of Karima's youngest son, Ahmed, has just been uncovered. They took him from me. They killed him, she screams.
this is what I was talking about when I was on Piers Morgan, for everybody fucking showing their ass and being like, oh... Everyone that has an opinion on the Piers Morgan broadcast appearance that's like, oh yeah, Hasan, I can't believe this, but you know, they should watch this and maybe they will develop a newfound perspective on the matter a little bit. Okay? Just watch this clip from skynews.com. They're racist? You think they care? No, there's some people who, I mean, this is pretty impossible to fucking argue against. You can't both sides of this. You just can't.
Israel, America, and Britain are to blame, she wails. The bodies are gently laid out in the shade. The names, if known, written on each one. Karima sits by her son, but surrounded by so many others. A moment of silence for her, alone in her own thoughts. Later that day, Ahmed is taken to the cemetery for a proper...
I mean, sure, they'd say Hamas did it, wouldn't they? Wait, what? Hamas killed all these people? No, Israel killed all these people. And then Israel dug them out of their graves and then created a mass grave where they just like fucking piled them into. What do you mean?
A burial. Karima helps carry him through the streets of Khan Yunis, where nothing or no one has been left untouched.
I spent 2 months, 2.5 months of me looking for him. Thank God, I was scared that he was thrown for dogs or cats to eat him, just like I saw dogs eat other dead bodies with my own eyes.
The deep Hasbara line is that Hamas killed them, buried them, and then dug them back up for cameras. Yeah, dude, Hamas sieged the hospitals. Hamas blew up every fucking building. Hamas killed all the Palestinians. Yeah, always. Israeli domestic politics is kind of crazy because small parties are encouraged by the electoral system. When you look back at Israeli elections, you'll see a random generator parties with two C's called like the Ashkenazi Haredi Workers Party, or a cool as fuck radical leftist Mizrahi party called the Black Panthers, or one of the 1,000 different labor Arab satellite parties. Is so fucking weird. Yeah. Why didn't you bring this up on Piers Morgan, Haas? I did, dumb fuck. I did. I actually did bring it up on Piers Morgan. I said, as we're having this silly fucking back and forth about how unproductive this conversation is and how passionate we are getting on this conversation, they're unearthing hundreds of bodies all around Gaza in mass graves around the hospitals that Israel laid siege to. Also, Hamas can't actually fucking put together a mass grave. You want to know why? Because in order to build a mass grave under constant bombing, you would have to be the only group that is not going to get bombed, which is Israeli bulldozers. Yeah, by the way, verbatim, what I just repeated to you, I said on that interview. How the fuck did Hamas get a bulldozer and open up the fucking mass graves while Israel was bombing? They would have had to do it under constant bombing by Israel. You understand that, right? The only reason why they're able to do this right now is that there's a moment of respite.
The final act of a grieving mother is to bury her son next to his father and her husband. With the two men of Karima's family now side by side in death.
But I think one has to
The cries of anger turn to prayer and...
What is this?
Would you shut the fuck up? God damn, you pretentious British fucking moron. I have never heard of you. Shut the fuck up. But I think one has to account equally for the Israeli... Would you shut the fuck up?
Let's go. Let's go. It's becoming a cultural force. I fucking love that. Me, when I hear any British person talk about anything other than beans, Hasan is not a good person. He's not, but better than that right-wing British twat. Both suck. Also, how could Hamas slip past the Israeli surveillance system? Israel has to show pictures of Hamas doing this. Yeah. Israel 3 seconds away from fucking posting their own bulldozers, creating mass graves and being like, see, they're Hamas. We have found out the bulldozers digging the mass graves were actually not the IDF, but Hamas. It does suck that me calling the other Israel defender lady, who was objectively worse than the twink, what did I say, like a cretinous little monster, is not going as viral as the other dude. Or called her a little fucking disgusting little monster. And a demon. Because she is.
Tears of overwhelming grief. Alistair Bunkle, Sky News, in Jerusalem.
Dude, this is awesome. This person says it's been debunked. It's been debunked. What has been debunked? We just want to give him a dignified burial. Overwhelming mass grave containing over 300 bodies has been uncovered at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis in Gaza. This has been debunked. Palestinians are digging up their own makeshift and calling it a mass grave for the cameras. That's great, man. Yeah, no, totally. It's been debunked. Who debunked it? I did, in my mind.
The UN's human rights chief says he's horrified by the destruction of two of Gaza's main hospitals amid reports of mass graves being found.
Oh, the other good line was, "Do you speak fucking English?" I was like, "Do you speak fucking English?" I'm saying, dissolve the apartheid regime. Yeah, another instance where, you know, the UN is being Hamas.
Found at the sites. Palestinian officials say they've exhumed the bodies of almost 300 people at Nasser and Al-Shifa hospitals. The Israel Defense Forces, described as baseless and unfounded, reports that they buried bodies and said existing graves
Why that lady's fit go so hard? I don't know. It does go hard though.
have been opened while searching for the remains of hostages. Our special correspondent Fergal Keane reports, and a warning, some viewers might find images in his report distressing.
Bombed into brokenness. Khan Yunis today from above. And down among the ruins, a mother and sister search for a missing son. Nabil Zaidan, aged 23, was killed in January. His mother Reem and sister Mai have been searching for Nabil's body ever since. For 2 weeks since Israeli forces left here, they've come to the Nasser hospital.
Even if he's a dead body, I want my son. Just bring me my son. My heart has been broken for the past 3 months since I lost him.
This is a place where nobody comes in hope of finding the living. Only, if they're lucky, the dead. And an end to searching whose trauma is difficult to comprehend.
I saw bodies that had signs of torture. They were executed. Some had their hands and legs tied together and were executed. How long will this continue?
The graves are now at the centre of conflicting claims between Hamas and local aid workers on one side and the Israel Defense Forces on the other. Hamas claims some of the dead were executed. The Israelis describe these allegations as baseless, saying they'd opened existing graves to check for dead Israeli hostages.
The examination was...
It's always so fucking funny that, like, Israel's defenses is literally identical for every issue. No, we didn't do it. It was Hamas. Oh, you're saying that we did it and you have conclusive evidence that we do it? Well, then we did it for good reason, which was, again, to check for Hamas and to check for the hostages. It's like, okay, which is it then? Did you do it or did you not do it? Like, what do you mean? It's like, oh yeah, maybe we did do it, but actually it was for good fucking reason. U.S., of course, is not backing the UN calls for a probe into mass graves at the Gaza hospitals, which is unimaginable. I wonder why. We are the bad guys, okay? We are.
Carried out respectfully while maintaining the dignity of the deceased. Bodies were examined and which did not belong to Israeli hostages, and they were returned to their place.
Colleagues at BBC Verify have confirmed the existence of graves at the hospitals before Israel began its operations in both complexes. Buried like this because staff couldn't reach cemeteries due to fighting in the area. Today, a senior UN official told me there had to be an independent investigation to establish the facts.
What we cannot allow in this current situation, where we have seen in Gaza numerous grave human rights violations, many of them potentially war crimes, and where we have raised alarm of potential atrocity crimes, that this becomes another blip. The intensity of violations have been massive.
It is early afternoon at Al Nasser Hospital, and Reem has been directed to this section of the graveyard. Nabil might be hit.
Those aren't mass graves, though. Brother looks directly at mass graves and goes, that's not a mass grave. Listen, I'm a mass grave understander. You feel me? When you dump people into the ground without, without the proper protocols of creating a graveyard, that's actually not mass grave stuff. If you are trying to do a top of the hour ab break Jabay right now, I'm going to cook you. I'm going to put you in a fucking... Never mind. I'm going to put you in a nice little car that you can drive off into the sunset with. Okay? That's right. At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Here's the thing, okay? Let's say the Palestinians dug up like the best possible graves that they could while being literally directly under fire by Israel. Who fucking killed them? How did they die? What are we talking about here? It's just insult to injury, the mass grave side of the things.
Here. I swear it's him. It's his jacket. My son.
Bro, you can't even say vaccine injury because Israel literally did not give Palestinians COVID vaccines. Like, that was another major point of contention, which I used to bring up all the time when talking to fucking dumbass anti-vaxxers. They'd be like, vaccines are a Jewish conspiracy. I'd be like, really? If it's a Jewish conspiracy, why the fuck are Israelis all getting vaccinated and they're not giving it to the Palestinians then? If you remember, that was a point that I used to make. Of course, all of that predates October 7, but, you know.
I found him, she says. My life, my heart, my son. To rejoice that your dead child has been lifted from an anonymous grave. That is a measure of the agony engulfing Gaza. Fergal Keane, BBC News, Jerusalem.
2 years ago, when mass graves were discovered in Ukraine, this House united in condemnation and rightly treated these graves as evidence of war crimes which Russia must be made to answer for. Yesterday, Palestinian officials uncovered 2 mass graves outside the bombed hospitals in Gaza. These graves also constitute as a war crime, don't they?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, of course, we would expect the democratic government of Israel to invest.
It's just, I want to say so many things, okay? But it's just like, God has already punished him. That's all I'm going to say, okay? Before the conversation even begins, just look at him.
Investigate any allegations of misconduct, and that's exactly what they do, and it's exactly what the Foreign Secretary and the Prime Minister urge them to do. But I find it quite extraordinary that she seeks to draw parallels between the...
Dowden is a former officer of the Conservative Friends of Israel and has twice chaired the APPG for British Jews. That's right. You misunderstand me, my good madam. The democratic country of Israel will investigate itself for the mass graves and find out that it is Hamas that is responsible for it. That's right. It was Hamas, I tell you.
Legitimate war of self-defense of Israel and the conduct of Russia.
Turn it black.
Dude, wait, why is he saying you cannot compare what the conduct of Russia to Israel? I don't understand it. Is it just like, you know, when Russia does mass graves, it's different than when Israel does it? Like what? Israel's bringing a whole litany of different vibes of the mass grave situation that we previously had not thought about? Like, is that what it is? You don't understand. When Israel's doing mass grave related shit, like it's democratically done. And also the vibes are pretty good. But when Russia does it, it's bad vibes. Okay. Is that what the difference is? Like, he didn't even say why it's different. He just said one side doing it is good and the other side doing it is bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little crazy. Maybe I'm a little unorthodox here with my way of thinking, but I don't think mass graves are good no matter who's doing it. You know? Fucking asshole.
300 bodies, including the elderly and the injured, some of which had been stripped naked, mutilated, with their hands tied behind their backs. The UK's own arms policy states that if there is even a risk that war crimes may be taking place, then that is reason enough to halt the sale of arms. Given all we know, why then is the Prime Minister yet to do so?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, we continue to urge the...
Yeah, why hasn't the Prime Minister stopped the sale of arms after they fucking murked like a bunch of British ex-military guys? What happened? Cuckolds. All of them. The lot of them. It's just like, what happened? I thought you guys had the smoke for Israel for like 3 days. I guess they forgot and they just don't care. Which, yes, the answer is yes, they don't care. Israel could get away with killing way more British nationals and they still would be like, well, we are beholden to our strategic interest in Israel. As Big Daddy in the room, the United States of America has decided that we will continue offering support. Plus, our weapons contracts are very important to us. They own the House of the Lords and the House of the Commons as well. Our weapons manufacturers, I mean, of course. And their capital interest is far superior to a couple British people that are Arab lovers. Hear, hear. If those supposedly British nationals wanted to remain safe, perhaps they would reconsider their interest in helping the Arab dogs. That's why I call them baboons in suits. Because the reality is, just because you're wearing a fucking suit, which is supposed to show like a beacon of elitism, like you're better than everybody else globally, doesn't change the reality that you're fucking chirping, you're squealing like a pig, demanding violence continues. The air of civility, the air of civilization, a civilized man wearing a suit, speaking a certain way, doesn't change the reality of the words that are coming out of his mouth. Cackling like a fucking hyena, like a baboon, just hitting his fucking chest over and over again. Fuck your decorum. Exactly.
The Israeli government to investigate any allegations of misconduct. The difference, though, is that we can trust the Israeli government, a democratically elected government.
No, you can't, you fucking shill, you goddamn charlatan. You can't. The Israeli government has never been honest. What the fuck? They have a literal worse track record than Hamas does, both in civilian casualties and also trying to contextualize the fucking violence that they're subjecting the Palestinians to. After all, why should they have a good track record? You eat that dick every goddamn day of the week. You repeat it bar for bar. This is why I'm going to go back to the Machino Dorito fucking TikTok. Okay.
Elon Musk is a white supremacist.
Where is it? This is why. This is why I did what I did earlier today on the fucking broadcast.
But
on
I
Piers
think
Morgan. Okay.
But I think one has to account equally for the Israeli... Would you shut the fuck up? God damn, you pretentious British fucking moron. I have never heard of you. Shut the fuck up. But I think one has to account equally for the Israeli...